And I really appreciate you for coming. How is the family? How is everyone? I have Kade Olutayo in the house. I have Mrs. Sparkles. I have Amala. I have Arit Ayadele da Silva. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Oh, wow. I can see Natalia Ladobuke has joined too. Good morning, sir. How are you doing today? While we're still waiting for others, can we just drop on the chat box where you're joining in from, introduce yourself, and let's know where you're joining in from. Thank you. Good to see you, Nathaniel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are the kids?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. So while we wait for others to join, usually we have like 70 people join us on this meeting. We are 12 here. Let's just wait for like 5 minutes or so. So let others come up. And so while you do that, while we wait, please let's drop where you're joining in from. Ayadele from Ikorodu, Lagos. Welcome, thanks for joining. Mrs. Sparkles, where are you joining in from? Amala, where are you joining in from? Let's keep the chat room buzzing. Okay, Chubogum from Surulere, welcome, welcome, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Sparkles from Lekki. Good morning, Ibese Ikorodu, Toyin Yolani, welcome. From Port Harcourt, welcome, good morning. And we have Kayode Olutayo in the house. Good morning, PKO.
Good morning. How are you?
Awesome, sir.
It's good to have you. I'm glad to have Natalia and other people around here. Like you said, Sparkle is really sparkling. I'm telling you, her face and everything is just wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bukola, how are you? It's good to have you. Natalia, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How is everything? All right, we're waiting for some people, right, Evan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know some other people will be joining us in a few minutes. I just activated my platform, so.
It's raining and it's Saturday. So I'm sure people are still in bed. It's a cold morning. Welcome, Fola. Please, as you come in, I want you to drop in the chat box where you're joining us from. I have people from Port Harcourt, from Lagos, Ajah, Lagos, from Ikorodu. Just drop where you're reaching us from. And let's say hello to you and welcome you. Welcome and thank you for joining. We are 16 now in the room. Okay, so I said we're going to start at 9:05. Should we start or we still wait for some other people to join in? We don't do African time. We start 9 on the dot. But understanding that it's Saturday, people want to rest in the morning and all, then it's a raining day. I don't know if it's raining wherever you're joining in from. Jube Ojomo will be joining us shortly, maybe like 9:15. So when he comes in, we're going to welcome him. Okay, so I want people to give a suggestion. What do you think? Should we go ahead? Should we start? It's a part of the things, it's a part of the changes we're trying to make. No African time. When we say 9 o'clock, it should be 9 o'clock. Okay, Sparkle says we should start. Also knowing that Saturday, people want to go for Owambe. People want to go for shopping, and so we don't want to delay anybody. So good morning, everyone, once again, and thanks for joining in again this month. This is the June edition of the family meeting. And I'm so excited because we are going out of our way to do something that is not normal, something that people complain about. Last month, we also broke the jinx of making it the day of the boy child. We celebrated the boy children last month, and today we are celebrating our fathers. Yay! So last month, when the topic came out that we want to talk about the boy child, and I mentioned that there is an International Day of the Boy Child, quite a number of people were surprised because they didn't believe that there's anything like that. We have Children's Day, we have girls, whatever these girls, that women days. And so we're going out of the normal to celebrate the boy child. We did that last month, and today we are celebrating the fathers. Happy Father's Day to all the men in the house. We appreciate you all, and we really appreciate what you do, how you go out of your way to make life easier for us in the family. We really appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to celebrate you today, and we're going to talk about what you are going through. But before that, I want to say something about the Center for Sex Education and Family Life. This is an organization, it's a non-governmental organization where all we do is we talk about family, talk about the issues going on in the society relating to gender. We handle child sexual abuse. As a matter of fact, we go to schools to talk to children, to distribute books, to talk about sex. And we felt there's no way we can be doing that without also involving the family, because there are times you talk to the children and what they're going through from the home front affect or can sabotage whatever it is we are teaching them. And this is why we decided to come up with this family meeting where we bring all the families together, as many families that are interested in joining, to talk about the family. And we are also trying to raise a tribe of family, tribe of people where we talk about things different from what the culture or what the society is teaching. And with that, we relate with the Praise Forward International, where we also have the course, New Rules of Parenting. So most of the people here had taking the course, New Rules of Parenting, and we're trying to create a tribe of families where we bring up our children in an awesome way, away from what culture is teaching and away from what the society is talking about. And at the family meeting, we talk about different topics. We have handled setting the family goals. That was what we did in January. And we have done, we treated co-parenting. That was where we brought Sumbo Adeoye, who is co-parenting her children with Two-Face Idibia. And we deal with a lot of family issues. And so today, we want to talk about the fathers being intentional as a father. And I have with me, we have 3 people coming in today to share their story and to advise our fathers that will be in the room who are finding it difficult to move between the experience of childhood and the expectation of the society to be the perfect father. So they are coming to share their experience and how they have been able to be intentional, how they have been able to go through what they went through as childhood and what the experiences of life whatever experience of life they have gone through, and how they have been intentional to say, this is my family and I'm going to make it right. And this morning I have Kayode Olutayo and Nathaniel Adegoke. And just like I said, I don't want to waste anybody's time. So I'm going to introduce the two of them that are here. Jube Ojomo will be joining us soon. So I'm going to read the profile for the ones we have here. I have Nathaniel Adegoke. Funny enough, I just followed Nathaniel on the social media and I like the things he does. And when he did a write-up about family, and I tried to read and I saw that, okay, he's a single father. And I don't know, are you co-parenting or you're a single father, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I co-parent to some
Okay.
degree, but
Okay.
my
Okay.
kids live with me full time.
Okay. Okay. So I just got attracted to that, and I started following him, and I just said, okay, let's have him on the show. Let me hear about him. We have chatted. Well, I've chatted him. I've responded to some of his write-up on IG, and he has responded. And I saw that, okay, so these are people that are intentional. This is one person that is intentional about life and about living life in the right direction. And thank you for coming. So Nathaniel is a trained management consultant and venture capitalist with several years experience working with consultancy and project environment. He holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and a master's degree from HEC Paris in innovation and entrepreneurship. He is the founder of McCready and Ashley, right? I get that right?
Yes.
A VC firm that helps entrepreneurs in emerging markets succeed through business process management and capital rising. He is also the managing partner at Project People Limited, a firm he started 14 years ago after returning to Nigeria from the UK, where he had previously lived and worked. Nathaniel was a presidential campaign manager for a leading political party during the 2019 national elections in Nigeria. He is an avid investor with interest in real estate, fintech, and the capital market. He sits on the board of many successful companies. He is also a father of two. Family, can you please welcome Nathaniel? Let's show him the Center for Sex Education, Family Life. Welcome. Let's buzz in the chat room. Let's say, welcome, we love you. And thank you for joining us, Nathaniel. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let me introduce to some and welcome. I'm introducing him to some because he has been on the show for a number of times, at like twice or something. So he's not a visitor here. Kayode Olutayo is passionate about helping people discover themselves and their place in life. He's a relationship guide, a family life coach and pastor. He relates with over 1,000 couples on a daily business through his WhatsApp and Facebook platform called Marital Issues with PKO and other PKO platforms. He is a core team lead counselor at Me for Counseling and Initiative, an organization that specializes in talking and walking clients through their relationship and emotional issues. They help them gain enough clarity to make informed decisions to take them to their desired destination. He is an NLP practitioner and a sought-after certified professional counselor of International Institute of Faith-Based Counseling, US. He is also an associate member of the Institute of Family System Engineering and Development. He has MBA in Human Resources. He is also a trained system developer and business analyst. His working experience spanned over 15 years at senior managerial levels. He speaks in gatherings within and outside the country. Kayode also sits on the board of directors of several NGOs. An alumnus of LBS, Kayode is presently an associate pastor with Daystar Christian Center and a faculty member at the Daystar Leadership Academy. He's married to his queen of 21 years, Kebby, also a certified professional counselor who hosts a popular program on Twitter tagged Listen Up Niger. They are blessed with 3 children. Welcome, PKO. Nice having you again in the house.
Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be here.
Thank you. 21 years is a long time, so we're ready to listen to all the wealth of experience. So while we kickstart, people, you're not welcoming my guests. We do that here. Can you welcome them, please? Let's show them some love. Welcome and thank you for joining. So while we wait for Jubel, let's just start. So and I'm going to start with Nathaniel. Yeah. So please, can you tell us what's your upbringing like?
I was raised in a Christian home. My dad is a pastor. His own father was a pastor before he passed on. And the same with my grandfather from my mom's side. He was also a pastor. Or he's alive, so he's still a pastor. So grew up in a pretty much decent Christian home. My parents are very hands-on. I talk so much about them. My dad used to work with the World Bank, so did travel quite a lot. But he still was that father that we remember very fondly because of all the very good memories that we had. So yeah, growing up for us was a lot of fun, and also came with being close knitted with my siblings and my parents. I grew up in the north. I grew up in northern Nigeria. That was where my family used to be, in Kaduna precisely. And I remember very fondly, we had a very big home where so many people lived. I used to make a joke about how breakfast, lunch, and dinner was served to more than 35 people, even though my parents themselves have just 3 kids, but we have cousins, people from church, and all sorts of people lived with us growing up. So yeah, my growing up was quite fun. I mean, I remember my childhood with a lot of fond memories.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So growing up with you was fun. How is your experience with your father, as in the disciplinary aspect, you know?
Okay, so
Some
my
people
father
were domesticated, some people were disciplined, and kind of. So what is it like being a pastor's son?
My father is extremely kind, and my father didn't really accept pastoring or his ministry until much later. But while I was young, I mean, my grandfather, who was also a pastor, we all lived. It's a huge compound with 4 bungalows. So my dad lived in one bungalow, his father lived in one bungalow, and my dad had 2 brothers, and they lived in the other 2 bungalows with their family. So it was like a huge extended family in one compound. My father was extremely nice, God. So my dad never, ever spanked us, ever. As a matter of fact, I can't remember my dad being so angry. I mean, growing up, Daddy was the champion. He was the one that we all really loved. We all wanted to hang around. My mom was the disciplinarian. She's the one that would beat you black and blue. And as an adult, we've had that conversation quite a lot. And of course, she's apologized for some of the excessive discipline and some of the excessive beating. And she made us understood why some of those happened. She was young herself. My mom had me at 20. So very young, inexperienced. and she didn't have a lot of emotional support because our husband was traveling quite a lot. Our husband was also very young, and growing up in an extended family setting where there is still traditional values, she had so much frustration going on herself, and we pretty much just took the brunt of it. But my dad was super permissive, I would use the word. He was never the one to scold you or tell you off or things like that. And that made us very fond of him. But this is the thing, right? Several years down the road, many decades down the road, my dad believed that despite the fact that our mom was the disciplinarian and the one that was always like on our necks, we are somewhat closer to her than we had to him. And I don't think it is true, it's just a perception thing. My dad and I still talk more often than I speak with my mom, to be honest. My dad would call almost every day. My dad would call sometimes twice. I remember in the early days of my separation and divorce, my dad was very concerned, and he would call 2-3 times a day, and he would say things like, I'm just checking. And sometimes the call only lasts a few seconds, but he was constantly checking. So my dad is a lover man. He's a proper lover man. And he was not heavy-handed on discipline or correction. My mom did the most of that. But yeah, that's the kind of relationship I had. And right now, my dad and I were still very cool. In fact, I was in my home for Father's Day, which was last weekend. So yeah, my dad and I were really very close with, and it's the same with my mom, the same with my other siblings and my dad.
Interesting. Good to hear that. So let's move on. PKO, over to you. I also want to, before PKO will answer my question, I want to welcome Jube Ojomo. Welcome and good morning. Good morning, Jube.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice having you here. Yeah, thank you for
Sorry,
joining us. No, that's fine. I'd already told the family, this is a family, so you already told them that you're going to be late. And thank you for joining. We are just starting, actually. Okay, PKO, because you are the grandfather, 21 years in marriage, who is a father?
All right, thank you for that. Well, that is a very complex statement. Question.
So when you are answering that question, I want you to tell us the difference between a father and a dad.
Okay. Let me first appreciate Nathaniel for sharing his own experience. I would say that mine is actually the opposite.
Really?
Not totally opposite. His father is the permissive one. My father is the disciplinarian. My father is someone that believes that this is how things ought to be. In his own mind, he wants the children to be close, but we are not actually close because of some of the other issues. But since I'm not going to talk about myself or my fatherhood and all that, let me just quickly answer that. The little understanding that I have in relation to being a father, and then, you know, that there is this statement that we say, the father figure, and then being a dad. What Nathaniel actually had is a dad. You know, he has a dad, and that's what I feel a lot of us, because there is this misconception that a father should be somebody that is very strict, which is okay. A father is somebody that should be that, but he had this a friend in his father, and that is the dad that I was talking about. You know, just like you're calling God your dad. You know, there is this notion about the father figure who tends to be a very strict person, who tends to be somebody that will direct, somebody that will tell you, this is the way things ought to be done. And then there's no relationship in quote with your father. So, but when you have a relationship with your father, you call your father there, your dad. So that is how I can easily differentiate. I have a father, and it's just a thin line actually between a father and a dad, because there's some time he plays the role of a dad that helps in directing and all that. Although both of them are just nomenclature, just use the word to interchange it. However, a father is someone that sees ahead, someone that sees ahead and guide a child through his own vision, his own foresight of what the future will look like. Someone that is there to guide a child through every stage in life. That is a father. A father is someone, not just somebody that provides, but somebody that is there emotionally, physically, mentally, and socially for his or our daughter, for his son or daughter. That to me is a father. It's not just somebody that, I know somebody that said that I always provide money. I always provide for their needs and all that. That is not what fatherhood is all about. Fatherhood is an encompassing statement that has to do with your involvement with your children, with your child, with your children. And that is one of the reasons why sometimes we say that, look, to some, this person see this person as a father, and this other person does not see my father as their father. Why? Because the role of a father is not actually being played. The father is not there emotionally. The father is not there psychologically. The father is not there to assist and to guide the child, to lead the child through and help the child to discover his or her own uniqueness. That is a father who also will accept the child based on who the child is and help the child navigate the issues of life without being condemned or being judged, in quote. That is, to me, is a father.
Thank you, PKO. So you are saying that a dad is the one that has the intimate relationship with the children. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But the father can just be anybody that is there for you.
Something like that, yeah.
Good. Okay, so last month we talked about the boy child, and we discovered that the boys are raised, and that was why I was asking Nathaniel about his upbringing, just to have an idea of where he is coming from and if he will understand the kind of the other side that you are talking about. Even with your own environment, there's an extreme to it. We have this kind of upbringing where children are just left, the male children in the family are just left to grow up. Last month, we talked about the socialization of the boy child. The girl is made to learn how to cook, learn to do this, learn to do that. The girl is told to do this, the girl is advised, while the boys are just left. And in our practice, we have been able to interact with teenagers. And we discover that these children, some of those children, none of those teenagers that are out there that are doing things that we see as wrong is because of identity crisis, because of what they're going through. They don't understand who they are. And so we discover that a lot of boys are growing and they're just there. They're just left alone to grow. And they have a lot of questions in their minds. They have vacuums in their mind. They have questions, and there's no father figure. That daddy experience, they don't have it. And so these are the same set of people that grow up to become husbands. They grow up to become father, and we expect a lot. We expect them to be perfect. We expect them to be that perfect husband that we are looking up to. That's perfect dad that will raise his own children. And so when we have delinquency, when we have these children that when they bring these children to us, we discover that missing link, that there is no father in the house. And this is majorly what we want to talk about. I also discovered that interacting with men coming for counseling, I also discovered that those men, it's not as if they don't want to do it, but they don't know how to go about it. And this is one of the reasons why. And so we have wives coming to say that my husband is this, my husband is that. And when we take the husband through counseling session, we discover that it's not as if this guy does not want to do it, but he does not know how to do it. And this is why we are here, so that people will understand that some people also went through some phases in life, but they choose to do it well. Personally, I am going to say that I also have a father who, he was just there as a father. He was giving us everything we needed, but there was no interface of sitting us down to say, this is how to go. You want school fees, take. You want to buy this, take. But there was no that period of sitting down to say, to counsel, to advise, and to guide us or to lead us the path that we're supposed to go. Because looking at it now, in retrospect, I know that gap, you know, they always say that the father is the first love of every female child. There is that gap for me. And so this is why we are here. And I'm going to welcome Jubed. Jubed, I might not be able to read your profile, but I want to ask you, you are a father of two beautiful girls.
Yeah.
So from your upbringing and the way you aspire to bring up your girls, what are the things you're doing differently? Just want us to let the men in the house know that we can do things differently. So what are the things you're doing differently that is helping you to raise your children? What are the things you're doing differently to raise your children differently and to raise the star in them? Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me here. For me, I learned early raising children is not supposed to be the way it was, because while we were growing up, we were left to grow up on our own. Most of the talk was not done, you understand? But I learned that that's not the way it's supposed to be. I have one child that has a special need, and because of that, I learned that shouting is not going to work. You have to be intentional. And so I've learned that I must explain. Telling a child why you're not doing something or why you do not want him or her to do something goes a long way in helping the child to understand and will help the child try not to do that again. So that reduces the shouting matches and everything that we have in the house. So most times we have conversations. I'm a fan of having conversations because I realize that to get to the next level of greatness, if you want to get to the next level of greatness, you need to develop a culture. You know, always about having a family culture. So having a family culture would mean having a good relationship with your children. Having a good relationship would mean having excellent conversations. So what I do differently is I have intentional conversations with my children. And this means that, or what I do is that every day I get home in the evenings from work, we talk about our day. We take turns. So what was the challenge? What happened? So I'm part of their life every single day. And that's the difference between how I was raised and how I'm trying to raise my children. I'm intentional about having discussions with them constantly, listening to the things that they do not say. Yes. I hope that answers your question.
Listening to the things they are not saying. So you are able to read in between the lines and you're
It's
able
very
to
important.
give them response. Good, good. So Nathaniel, from your profile and from what I see you do on Instagram, on social media, I know that you interface with a lot of people. You relate with different kind of people from different background. And I know you would have noticed in some of those people that something is lacking in this person, something is lacking in this person. So from that perspective, I want you to give us instances of the professionals you have interacted with. You know, there are times that you look at your boss in the office and you know that, oh, maybe because I am a professional counselor, I am able to spot some missing link in people. So in your interaction with people, how have you been able to help them see some of those things that are missing? Maybe your family friends, maybe people that you know that if they go like this, it's not going to help them. Do you understand that question?
Yes, you're asking, how do I spot missing link in people?
Yeah, and how have you been able to help them?
So important.
So I'm asking that question because we have different kind of people here.
Right.
And so I know some people are here because they want answers to some of those questions in their mind.
Right.
They know that they are not doing some things right, and they would love to do things in the right way.
Right. So usually people don't just wake up in the morning and start misbehaving. It's usually because of upbringing. It's usually because of their mindset or some of the things that they hold to be true that are disempowering for them. So what I've discovered is to always look at everything from the lens of compassion, and not because I'm minimizing my own emotions and the frustrations that some of their actions or their behavior could bring my way, but it's just me putting on the cap of that person who understands a little bit more than they do. So when I see people with mostly anxiety issues, I tell people I've had quite a few successes in relationships, but I've also had quite significant failures in relationships. And I say to people, the most traumatic romantic relationships I've had have been with people with daddy issues. And I don't think that is I don't think that's a coincidence. So if I plot the graph and I come up with the people whose relationship with myself, or the people who might have the most toxic or the most the worst relationship with, I discover one common denominator. They have daddy issues. Either they're not in talking terms with their fathers, or they're trying to mend their relationship with their fathers, or they have certain beliefs that their father passed on to them that they have held to be true. And how I spot, so answering your question specifically, so a lot of people with daddy issues would have low self-esteem. You notice in them, they don't raise their head up. They are always in that position where it's okay to walk over them. They accept a lot of negativity from people because they've experienced that all their lives growing up, and it's just become a normal thing. So myself, I mean, that's something that I can't quite understand, or I can't quite relate with, because my father is the man that affirmed us. Like, my father would say things. I remember a common thing my dad would say to me is, "You are the answer to a generation of prayers." So my dad would say things like, "I'm a pastor, my father is a pastor, your grandfather on your mother's side is also a pastor, and we've prayed all our lives. You are the answer to that prayer that we have always prayed." My father would look at you someday and say, "Oh, you are the best thing that happened to me." Having such positive affirmation from my dad made, I mean, there's no room I can't enter. There is nobody I can speak to. I won't be rude. I would speak my mind. I don't understand how to shrink, how to cower, how to become small. And it's a healthy dose of self-esteem that my father gave me. So you notice people with anger problems where every single thing is a fight. They take an armor to every single fight because every problem to them is a nail. it's also because of a father problem most of the time, in my experience, where they've always experienced a perpetually angry father or a perpetually angry parent, and they've normalized that behavior. And they think being angry is a way to earn people's respect, or being angry is a way to set boundaries, or being angry is a way to say no to things they don't like. And it takes a lot of re-engineering and reorienting to get people off of that negative mindset. You see people self-sabotaging. They just would make decisions that they themselves know is not good. They know, it's not like they're not aware. They know this decision I'm about to make is not going to lead me to the outcome that I want, but they make the decision all the same. And when you trace it to the root of it, you see this is a person who is struggling with their identity crisis. They make those decisions because they don't know who they are. And those identity crises stems from the father figures in their lives or their handlers whilst they were growing up. So yeah, I'm able to spot all of that, and it didn't happen overnight. I believe that I'd made my own fair share of making the wrong choices and saying to myself, oh, I can change just about anybody, not knowing that when it's a father issue, it runs deeper than what a romantic partner or a spouse can fix. Such people just need to get counseling. They just need to see the root of their problems. So I have this particular friend who calls me up all the time. And one issue I have with him is that he would not accept that he needs to fix his daddy issues. So whether it's the kind of relationship he has with his bosses at work, or the kind of relationship he has with his girlfriend, or the kind of relationship he has with his domestic staff, you would see that daddy issues show up consistently. And I'm saying to him, until you fix this foundational problem, you would continue to have this other fallout with these all other relationships. And just recently, he picked up the phone. Actually, it was on Father's Day. He picked up the phone and called his father. That was the first time he was talking to the man in 18 years. And
Wow.
he cried so much, he came to me and he was thanking me. And it's just been about a week, but he would wake up in the morning and admit that he feels better, he feels lighter, he sees the world a lot differently, the anxieties are reducing, the self-sabotaging decisions are reducing. So those are the threads, I would say. And I think lastly, the fourth thing is people pleasing. You see people with daddy issues constantly trying to please everyone, and they're looking for acceptance even in places where they shouldn't be looking for acceptance. They are constantly feeling inadequate, not enough, and they would talk and talk, or even do things that are just absolutely ridiculous. And you would drill down to the bottom of it, and you just see that this person is just looking for people to accept them. And it comes from not having all of that growing up or from home. And I believe that I'm extremely fortunate. I'm grateful to that. I'm grateful to God for that. And it's passed on from my dad to me. I'm hoping I'm doing even as good or as better job with my children. And my dad would talk about his own father too in glowing terms. As a matter of fact, my dad would literally worship the ground his father walked on. My dad believed next to the Holy Spirit is his father. He adores his dad, and he speaks so glowingly about him. And I believe that the more we do this for our children, we're not just doing it for them, but we're also doing it for the children that they would birth, because we then pass it on. And this is what we then call generational blessings. Because when you become that father that your children are proud to have, they know no other way So when they start having children, what they have seen you do and what they have received from you is what they automatically pass on to their children. I'm extremely hands-on. As a matter of fact, when my marriage failed and I said to myself, this is not working anymore, I knew I cannot live without my children. I knew there is absolutely no way I will not play an important role, or because I'm no longer a husband, then I abdicate my role as a father. I knew that was not even an option. And I believe it's just because of the kind of father I have and the legacy that I have received.
Wow. Interesting. Thank you very much for answering this question in this particular way you have done. And this has really brought it out. We have women here, we have wives here, we have men in this hall presently. And I am happy you're able to talk about the daddy issues. When you don't have the daddy present, when you don't have your father present here with you while you're growing up, these issues that you have listed, low self-esteem, anger, self-sabotaging thoughts, looking out for validation, trying to please people. These are some of the issues that come up. And I want to say this, he mentioned something that it is not your fault. Whatever your way of life is now, it is not your fault. It is because of your upbringing. But you see, it is going to be your fault if you are hearing this now and you're not ready to make a change. And for the wives in the house, we're trying to raise a tribe of people that are going to do it right. For the wives, for the women, ladies in the house, I want you to start seeing that those men, what they think they are doing that they are not doing right, it is not because they know how to do it. If they know how to do it, they would have done it better. Let's try to excuse them and to tell our men that we appreciate the fact that you want to learn it and you want to do it. And so this next question is going to PKO. You have been married for 21 years, and Nathaniel has touched something very sensitive, that people that don't have their fathers present in, not in providing for them, but present in helping them to grow and build we say that the father can be a source of happiness or a source of pain. So for those that have grown up in an environment where the father has been a source of pain, crises, and not helping them to identify who or know who they are and left them confused. Those people, we have them here, and we have some people that their wives are here. PKO, I want you to talk to us. I want you to, because for me, I could see when he was talking, I quickly understood where my insecurity came from. I feel so insecure a lot of times, but I had to look for a father figure who has helped me so far to solve that level of problem. And so I understand when he was talking, I understand what it means. And I can also understand it, and I can also see that these are part of the things that are causing issues in marriages.
Yeah.
These are part of the things causing issues in marriages. So PKO, I want you to kind of encourage us. And after this, we are already planning a session for fathers that are interested in going through the healing session with Praise for Uwe, so that we can start from there, believing that we can help as many people that are ready to be helped, and as many wives are ready to be helped. Because it's not only about the men, the women too. We have our issues because daddy was not there. Okay. And so I want you to kind of talk to all of us here.
All right, thank you very much.
For us to learn to be intentional, knowing where we are coming from and picking it up from there. Thank you. All right,
thank you very much, Ebon. All right, what I'm going to do quickly is to share my own story. Natalian has really said a lot, and he actually nailed it. He has a very good upbringing, which is very, very noble and all that. Just like I said, mine is a bit opposite. And I actually wanted to relate some of the things he said to my own upbringing. And because we are talking about intentional fathering,
Yes.
father, yeah, I will first of all talk about how I grew up and my relationship with my father. My father is a very good person and very wonderful person. But the only observation I had, which affected me while growing up, is consistently comparing us with ourselves. Okay, we are four. We are all guys. For my mother, we are all four boys. And then while we're growing up, my brother tends to be the first, I tend to be the second. My father rather preferred my brother than any of us. So he always said that my brother is the best among us. He will go all out. They call him easy boy because it doesn't usually cause problem. It doesn't usually create any problem. But someone like me, I was stubborn, and my stubbornness as a reflection of who he was. And all that. But please, before I continue, if you have any questions or clarity, please feel free to share with us on the platform, on the chat room. You can send your question there. Ebu is ready to take any questions so that we can use the questions and address some major issue. Okay, back to my story. You know, my father always said the statement that my brother is the best and blah, 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 and all that. Then I also have a younger brother who tends to be very, very, social, very, very good. And he has a lot of friends. And I think I've shared it here before that while growing up, because of the way my father usually talked down on me, make me feel inadequate, I don't have an identity. I had an identity crisis. My name was a nobody, or my name is actually attached to my brother's name. My brother is Kunle Ayo. He's very, very known. So while we were in secondary school, they only called me by my brother, by my brother's name, Kunle's brother, Kunle's brother. And that came as a result of some of the things I went through while I was growing up. So it affected my self-esteem. I believe I was nobody. I remember some few years ago after my mom passed on, or when my mom was sick, we four of us sat down together and we're recounting our ordeal. And I told my brother that you are fortunate. You grow up in a way that you are accepted, you know, that I was a nobody. And I had no identity, nobody cares, nobody knows me, nobody loved me while I was growing up. It affected me emotionally to the extent that I was always behind. I don't like showing up, unlike this day that God has helped me to build my self-esteem. And now I talk about this, talk about the temperament. I help people build their self-esteem and discover themselves. That is as a result of some of the things I was growing up, I grew up with, which affected me while growing up. Another area that I observe with my father, which I feel we all need to work on. And the first point I want to mention in that regard that we parents, we need to is to avoid is try as much as possible to identify the uniqueness in your child and deal with them based on their uniqueness. Stop this comparison. It kills your child. It kills the destiny. It kills and affects. That's the truth, because it affected me a great deal. It does. Even while in the midst of people, I still feel that I don't know much. And that was because when I was speaking, like, my brother has a lot to say. And up till now, I still give him that reference. I have a lot of things to say. But he observed that because of my exposure and because of my development and my listeners, sometimes he asks me questions. Before, I don't have anything to say. But now things changed because one, God is my factor, is a major factor that changed my own dynamics. I don't want to underplay that. He was a major person that changed my dynamics. When I gave my life to Christ, it changed the whole thing. That was first thing. The other thing I observed with my father is that when I asked him something, he will say that he doesn't have money, or he will say, go and meet your mother. But when other people from outsiders, when they come to make a request, you will see my father giving them whatever things they want. So I observed that my father is someone that I love to give. It's a very good attribute. I got that from my father also, but I was a bit sensitive that I need to first of all settle my home first. Now, my father sent a lot of our his siblings to school, extended families to school, gave them a lot of things, helped them in one area. But when it comes to us, sometimes he will say he doesn't have, sometimes he will always come up with one excuse or the other. Now, I observed that my father is very loose with money. He doesn't mind helping people. But when it comes to us, we had that shot. So I feel that, look, family first. Yes, as much as you are doing that for many people in the outside, your family comes first. All the people that he helped, as a son, we cannot go to them to ask for assistance. We know when we are growing up, because some of them lived with us, we knew that my father was the one that helped them. Now, they don't even recognize us. So what happened? My dad is still alive, and he still do the same thing. He still does the same thing, which I always tell him. Like, let me give an example. He's trying to run orphanage, not an orphanage, the less privileged. He built a computer school to the less privileged. He bought computer. He has a wife and all that. He's starving at home, but he wouldn't mind using his money to help somebody outside. And as a result, I just felt that, look, I don't need to be giving my father money. If I want to give him anything, let me give him what he wants. It's not a problem, but the truth there is that your children are looking at it and it's affecting them. Because it affected us that my father would rather prefer to do some things to other people at our own expense. We'd rather take care of other people. So which means other people matters. We don't. That was the message. So that I got when I was growing up. So, and I felt, look, for my children, whatever things that my children want, I would rather prefer to settle them first before settling outside. I know that I love to give. I know I have that attribute. My mother usually abused me and used some adage, which I shared with us, that I thank God that God stitched that thing to me, on us as guys. If not, somebody will say I have problem with my own, I will have dashed it out.
PK, what's the thing?
You are small girl, so don't close your ear, close your ear. You know, so I would have dashed it out. That's how liberal, how benevolence heart I have. But I come to understand that my children will definitely be affected if I don't take care of them. All of my children are teenagers now. 2 of them are in the university. One of them just said that doesn't have money. He has spent its money on something and all that. I had to send, despite the fact that I've sent his allowance for the month. He said doesn't have money. I had to send some money to him so that it would not feel as if daddy can give any other person, but when I am in need, he doesn't. So that area, I try as much as possible to give to my children. Those things, and sometimes we talk, what is going on? How is your girlfriend? How many girlfriends do you have? And all that. I don't have a father to ask that kind of question. Even if you have one, you're in trouble. You know, this season is a season where you don't enforce parenting, you negotiate parenting. What you know, if your father comes, I grew up in a way that if you hear the bell, the horn of my father, you must pretend as if you are sleeping. I don't know if you grew up with that. When I say my father is a disciplinarian, you know, his voice alone, we always run away. My father will beat you in the hand, we beat you here, we raise up your leg, we beat you, after he has beaten the back side of you, your bum, you wake up in the following morning, you will know that one machine has gone on you. You have some just climbed you. That was the kind of father that we grew up with. But the children we are beating now, they are vast. In fact, you can't use the same method to train your children the way your father trained you, which means you need to be intentional about the way you train your children. You need to negotiate, ask them questions. That's why I said I respect what Natalian's parents did and the grandparent and all that. And I know Natalian is doing the same. Is an opportunity for some of us. Some of us, based on our temperament, you might say statements that for example, systematic fraud. The way a systematic fraud will handle the children who tends to be a processed person. A sanguine is a people person. So if a processed person comes on board, it will believe that this is the way things ought to be done. That's a systematic fraud. This is the way it must be done. If it's not done this way and all that, how can I be talking to my child? And it's not, you know, sometimes you need to listen to your child. Somebody made a complaint and said that I don't like the way my children is doing. I know my child is not listening to me. I don't understand my children. I don't understand my children. My children they are not listening to me. We asked that question. Is your children supposed to be listening to you for you to understand them, or you are supposed to be listening to your children for you to understand them? And that is the areas that we have mistakes. We've made a lot of mistakes. We want your children to listen, you want to understand your children, and you want to be talking to them and all that. You can't understand your children if you are not taking time to listen. And the listening part is not just listening with your ears, it's listening with your eyes. The best way to get things done from your children is learn to listen with your child. Sometimes your child is doing some things, you know, he might be saying yes, but you know something is wrong. For example, your child is being molested when she's in school, and maybe somebody, you may not know if she's not talking, but you need to listen with your eyes, and that's where communication is. And I know that Mr. Ojomo, we have a lot of things to say, but if you don't mind, maybe I shall allow Ojomo to say something in regard to this. The way he's nodding his head is as if he has a lot to say. Let me hand it over to Mr. Ojomo, if you don't mind, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Mr. Ojomo, can we hear you? Can we hear you? So Mr. Ojomo is the CEO of Better Dad. So I'm sure he will have a lot to say in that area. Thank you very much.
So with regards to communication, like he said, and like I mentioned before, if you're trying to build a family culture, it's going to be dependent on the level of relationship that you have with your family members. And fathers, as the team leaders in the family, are the ones that are supposed to spearhead this. With regards to communication, the mistake that we make when we are having conversations is that we use the wrong type of conversation for the wrong scenarios. This is what I mean. There are 3 levels of conversations. 1, level 2, level 3. A level 1 conversation is a conversation where you are exchanging information or you are backing out commands. Now, what happens is that most parents, because of the way we were raised, we use a level 1 communication method with our children. Why are you doing this? Stop doing that. Back out commands. A child is lying down on the floor with a new dress and you're shouting, why are you lying down on the floor? But the child is being a child. Why is he lying down on the floor? The child will always want to lie down on the floor. That's part of their growing up. So asking or using the right kinds of conversations at the right time is what we need to learn. Now, level 1 conversations are not bad, but they are not appropriate in all scenarios. If a child is walking towards fire, you cannot be using a different kind of conversational level then. The child who is going to enter into fire, you have to shout, you have to scream at that point in time. That's okay. In a level 2 conversation, you're trying to discuss and share your opinion. Now, in discussing, one mistake that we make as parents is that we already have our views and we want to impose it on the children. This is how it ought to be done. The child may not understand why it ought to be done that way. And if you do not explain, she probably would obey right now. And the only reason why she will obey right now is because you have leverage over her at this moment. The moment she's grown up and she can decide for her own and do things on her own, that leverage is gone. And you find out that the child stops obeying. At that time, you say the child is rebellious. But the thing that happened is that you did not make the child see, which is in a level 3 conversation. So the level 3 conversation is when two of you are trying, or you are trying to help the person see your point of view. I'm trying to explain to the person so that two of you can be on the same level. Why do you want to do this? Do you know that if you do this, this is what would happen? Is that the outcome that you want? What is a better way of doing it? Do you think there's a better way? Listen to what the person has to say. Listen to what the child has to say. That way you are creating an environment where two of you can relate, two of you can gist, two of you can understand one another. Because like we said, conversations are everything. So if we don't have the right types of conversations for the right scenarios, we would always run into problems. We always run or climb ladders of conclusions, concluding that, oh, this is what happened. Oh, this is why you did this, without trying to find out why did you do it? What happened? Is there a better way of doing it? So conversations in the family, fathers have to learn to use the different levels of conversations for different scenarios. Else we'll have chaos constantly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ojomo.
Yes, ma'am.
So from everything you have said and from what PKO have said, I still want to come in from the angle where Nathaniel came in from, because why PKO was sharing his story, you know, his father's story, how that his father is a very liberal person, he's a giver and all. Yeah. I begin to see it from another light, from what Nathaniel shared. Could it be that he's also looking for validation or something, which also stemmed to the way he was brought up? So you believe that if I do this, these are the things that make me happy, not setting boundaries. Because one of the things I realize is if you don't have the right father figure in your life, you don't know how to set your boundaries. You allow, you attract people who abuse you. And so instead of doing that, you want to please people so that people can validate you. And that is the only thing that makes you happy. Indirectly now, with what he did, indirectly affecting his children and wife at home. So at this time, I want to say that it means that to be an intentional father, we need to first of all understand who we are, understand yourself, understand your pain, and if possible, go for coaching, go for counseling to heal from your pain. Because I can't imagine anybody saying that. Because PKO, you now decide to be intentional, trying to walk away from the way your father groomed you, raised you. You try to be intentional by saying, okay, I will always be there for my children. I will give them anything they want. That's intentionality away from the way your father did it. So I am saying that for every father who is here complaining about, or the children are complaining about, that means something is wrong somewhere. Can we first of all trace our upbringing? And that is what we do at the Family Systems Engineering. And when you take the new rules of parenting of Presoho International, you're made to go through that healing process before you even start to learn the new rules. Because the truth of the matter is there are new rules. And if you understand the Generation Z that we are dealing with now, they are ready to say it as it is. Yeah. They would tell their father, why are you behaving like this? Mr. So is not behaving like that. Jokingly, that there is even a scenario of a man who took the son for prize giving day, and the boy was, and a particular student was being called to collect gifts, and while the boy was taking all the gifts, all the awards, this boy's father was saying, Omonu, I don't know how many people understood Yoruba, that that's a good child, Omonu. And you know, by the time the program ended, you know, the man is indirectly sending a message to the boy that, look at you, see your life. This boy is doing so well. He has taken all the awards and the gifts. By the time they were going home, they were in the parking lot trying to drive out their small Toyota Corolla. and a father was there with a Prado Jeep, and the man just vroom, vroom, and drove past them. And the son at this point said, Baba, no. Do you understand that joke? So just as you are expecting a lot from those children, they are expecting some things from level of value. They want to get some level of value, happiness, some level of identification, some things that will help them. Looking at Nathaniel's story, you know, he has a legacy, starting from the great-grandfather to the grandfather to the father. And so when his marriage was ending, he made up his mind. I don't want to bring my children out of this. It's a generational blessing. It's a generational thing. And if care is not taken, you pass down what your father passed down to you. And so he was determined to say, okay, it is the kind of life, the kind of atmosphere I live from. That's what I want to pass down to my children. So this thing of fatherhood is deeper than what we can, it's deeper than what we can see. The mistakes fathers are making is deep. It is not their fault. And so at this point, if you're going to be intentional, you need to understand and accept your pain first. See what your parents did wrong and try to change it in your own life so that you will pass down the right thing. And this is what we do. This is what we are doing here. This is why we are trying to raise a tribe of people who are moving away from what culture or what upbringing has caused them to starting their own clan, starting their own generation, breaking away from that generation that caused you pain, that generation that did not allow you to find yourself, to a new life, raising the children. You know, I mentioned it that we want to raise wholesome children, and that's what we're about to do. So Nathaniel, are you still there? So I want you to please, what do you have to say to fathers who desire to be intentional? Apart from the fact that we want them to come for counseling, what do you have to say to them? We know that, because right now I'm very, very emotional at this point, because all those things are bringing out memories of my upbringing. And I can imagine fathers, men, that their wives are abusing or insulting at home, because it is true that men also go through abuse. He really wants to do it, but he doesn't know how to go about it. Thank you.
I think for people who are looking for a better tomorrow, people who want to be better fathers, it starts from acknowledging that there is a brokenness somewhere. You need to acknowledge that there is actually a problem, because again, a lot of people don't even see some of these things as issues. Many people don't even believe there is a gap. They don't believe there is a problem. So I would say, number one, there needs to be an acknowledgement. And I would also say there needs to be some type of a mentorship program. Maybe not formal, maybe just spending time and hanging around people who are doing a great job at being a father. And of course, the trainings, the counseling, some of the opportunities that Praise Forward International provides are some of the ways to change the paradigm and to change the narrative. Remember, this is a mindset problem, and that takes a lot to fix. And many fathers who were not good fathers 30 years ago to their adult children today are still not good fathers 30 years later. So it's not something we can wish away or that we can hope time would take care of. A lot of these things need to be deliberately worked out. You need to be intentional about it. So I'm going to say sitting down and doing some introspection and accepting that there is a brokenness somewhere, and then looking for solution in mentors, looking for solution even in peers that are doing a great job at being a father. And I know sometimes we listen to these things and we think, oh, it means you should be permissive. It means you should take just about anything from your children. It means, no, that's not what it means. It just simply means you need to love your children by the standard of God's word. If you go through the definition of love according to 1 Corinthians 13, you don't only apply those to people that are your romantic partners or people that are your above you. I mean, we look at children and we don't see them as full human beings. And that's one thing I tell my friends, and I say often, even on social media, that children are human beings. They're like full human beings. They might live in a body that is still not aged yet, but they are real human beings. This is a complete, so they are not half human beings. So when you think of your children in that way, and you love them in ways that are not rude, you love them in ways that does not keep record of wrong, you love them in ways that does not seek its own, you love them in ways that is not haughty or proudful or prideful, all of those measurements for love, we need to apply them even to the way we interact with our children. So being a good parent does not mean you don't discipline. It just simply means you do things out of love. You're not breaking their spirit, like pastor who spoke before me. I said you're trying to understand them, you're trying to relate with them, you're trying to get to see their own point of view, because to be honest, sometimes they have points of views that are way better than ours if we would be
Absolutely.
honest to admit it. Sometimes we learn from these children. You just need to calm down, mellow, see them as full human beings, and then it gives you opportunity to learn from them. So yes, answering your question, I'm going to say we must admit there is a problem. We must seek mentorship. We must go through courses. We must go through counseling. We must read books. We must be intentional. This thing just does not happen on its own. It doesn't happen by itself. I read tons and tons of books of being a father even before I started having my own children. And today I'm still constantly reading, I'm still constantly researching. As much as I think I have a good upbringing or that I know so much about fathering my children, I've attended Praise for Woes courses on parenting. I remember when Parenting Out of the Box book was released by Praise, I bought almost 10 copies or so, not just for myself, for my friends, because I believe that these things don't just happen. We need to deliberately learn and seek information. Some of this information will come from books, it will come from mentors, it will come from friends. Some will come from even the children that we're trying to be a parent to. And not two children are the same. So I have a boy who is 11. My daughter will be 9 in August. And I've been a single parent. My daughter was only 3. She wasn't even 4 yet since I started being a single dad. And one thing that I have seen, even in raising both of them, is it's not the same manual, even for both of them. For the boy, I don't need to be so assertive. I just need to communicate the fact that I'm not happy about something, and he's totally remorseful and he wants to fix things. And the girl would do things right in your face that she knows you would not approve of. And she would do it again tomorrow morning and you'll do it again next week. And for both of them, I've had to adapt to my parenting style. I know for the boy, if you use even a strong tone, he's already crying. So you also need to know that, okay, when you are dealing with this one, you cannot be so pushful or you cannot be so stern. Whereas for my daughter, you need to be stern for her to even sit down and listen. And it's important for us to know these children and not just assume that they are the same thing. A lot of fathers go out there, we're hustling, we're bringing in the money, we're trying to make our families comfortable. In what that means is we spend a lot of hours outside the home and we don't have the time to connect to even know or understand these children. I remember someone was cracking a joke online the other day and they said that these days children would respond to mommy saying, I'll tell your daddy, or just wait for your daddy to come, or oh, your daddy has come, I will report to daddy, or things like that. I think that is dysfunctional. When the sound of daddy is the sound of terror, and then children are running all over the house because daddy has come, or they don't want mommy to report you to daddy. There is a fine line between recognizing the man's authority and then putting the man in a position of some type of fire carrying terror, so that when it shows up, everything must fall in line. So this is what I'm saying in essence. As we're going out and we're hustling and we're trying to make our families comfortable, let us plan knowing our children, spending time with them into that schedule. It has to be intentional. You can't just say, oh, their mother is there, oh, their mother is looking after things, oh, their mother is fixing things, oh, let me go raise children, the mother is taking care of the home. Nothing, I believe, personally, I'm not going to say this is authoritative, but personally, I believe there is no need a child before 10 has that is more than the security and the presence that a father provides. And when we as fathers go out about our businesses looking for what to bring to the table, let's remember that at the back of our minds. And let's work out the time. Let's work out the opportunity to provide that security, to provide that assurance, to provide that bonding, to let them know that I am learning, I'm trying to know you, and I'm here to be that father that you hope and wish that I am.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. On that last note, so you are saying that there's no big deal in the father apologizing to the children and letting them see his vulnerability, right?
Absolutely, there is no need. I can't even tell you the number of times that I apologize to my children, and it's not even in the big things, even in the small things, like you going out and saying to them, "Oh, I'll bring something on my way back," and maybe you really did want to bring something, but something just happened, you could not bring that thing. It's important you don't sweep it under the carpet, even if they don't ask. It's important for you to remind them to say, oh, I said I was going to do this on my way. I did not do it. I am sorry. This is the reason why that is. I remember whilst myself and their mother were together, and it was a toxic marriage, and sometimes we would have some arguments and then they would overhear loud noise and things like that. One thing I do would be to go to their room, lay with them on the bed, apologize to them and tell them they should not hear that. Let them know it's not normal for them to see or hear that. I mean, people disagree, but it is not normal for it to degenerate to that level. And when people ask me, oh, if you claim to love these children so much, oh, why didn't you make the marriage work? I tell them, my children are my motivation to actually leave that marriage. Because I say to myself, being a single parent in a healthy family is better for them than they being in a toxic family where there are two parents. So they were still right in the center of that decision. 6 years ago. So this is what I would say. Yes, parents need to understand that vulnerability is a strength that we all must embrace. And when you're vulnerable, you're actually telling your children it's okay for you to be vulnerable as well. When we are vulnerable, what we're telling our children is there is no bigger courage to be exhibited in a relationship. When you are vulnerable to your to your child, what you're telling your child is, I am human and this is my humanity, and I want you to be human as well. Don't come under the pressure to perform for me. Don't come under the pressure to be perfect. Don't come under the pressure to be a superstar. In this family, we love each other, we accept each other. And part of that acceptance is recognizing that we are human beings and we make mistakes and we fail. And when we do all of that, we raise children that are healthy in their mindset. They are healthy in their outlook on life. My children would come home and say to me, oh, Daddy, XYZ said so and so to me in school. And I'm going to say, okay, so how did you respond? And the way they would respond will blow my mind. They would say things like, well, you're not talking about me. That's not me you have described. And that is because over the time, we've made them understand that this is who you are. We don't use bad words. And when we make mistakes, maybe because anger took a better part of us, we apologize, we fix things. All of those things are important. And I think we have to deliberately learn them. They will not fall on us. We need to be conscious in the approach of these things.
Wow. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. Vulnerability is a strength we need to embrace. And one of the reasons why we need to be intentional is to help us raise healthy children emotionally, because when we are vulnerable with them, they are able to learn and know how it is possible to be healthy emotionally. They will respond well at the gates outside. When you are not there, they will handle situations well. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the fact that you're on this show with us. So while we round up, we have like 3 minutes to round up. I'm still going to apologize because we're going to take a little more time because I still want Joubert to respond to the question in the chat room, the chat box. And PKO will give us a final word after Joubert has responded. Joubert, are you still there?
Yes, I am here. I'm trying to find out what question that is.
Okay, so I'll read the question. So the person said, how do you handle, so I'm throwing this question to you because I know you're also a working father, and you told me how that you close at night and all, how that you need to leave the house. And so I want you to just let this person know how to handle it because it has worked for you. How do you handle a situation where the father nature of work take him out of the house for months? Now, because of the rotation at work, it's either the child is asleep when he closes or at school when he closes. Because with this nature of work, the father becomes soft on the child, pampering them, trying to cover up, right? Pampering them, it's only the woman that becomes strict. I have visited most of his colleagues and I see this play out. Now, there was a situation where a boss was at work for a long period. When he got home, the child does not know who he was. And it was a period of pandemic that made, so just I want you to just respond to handling that gap. That's, so thank you.
All right. For fathers that have a hectic schedule, it's quite difficult to be as intentional as as they want to be, but it's still possible. The pandemic has also shown us that it's possible.
Yeah.
Everybody can be in a room. You can be in a room with your boss, with your children, and everybody using things like this, Zoom. So I want to use my personal experience. I usually get up as early as 3:30 a.m. every day. I'm out of the house by 5:15. But we have made I don't want to call it a rule. It's become a family tradition. Just after, when the kids are having their breakfast, if I do not call, they would call. And so the call is always a WhatsApp video call. So we get to see ourselves, we get to greet ourselves. How are you? Okay. Did you sleep well? Ask those questions, be intentional, be involved in their activities and in their life. And so they're off to school. They also ask me, okay, are you at work? Can I see the people in your office? So I show them the office and I show them around the office and everything. So we do that every morning. And then they are off to school. They get back from school, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I'm still at work. I call, find out how they are doing, how was their day at school, have they had their lunch? So the point is, we have technology, we have video calls, we have voice calls. We can be intentional and get involved in their life using these devices, these activities, these devices to get intentional with them. Then when it comes to the weekends, when you have time, like Friday evenings, something that we do or we have done in the last couple of months, we've done it more than twice, is to sit down on Friday evenings and we have something that we call, we do, okay, we have something like, we try to sing together, right? Done that. And we also use this as an opportunity to ask questions like, so what do you think wrong with my parenting? So we have a one-on-one discussion. For those of us who are Christians, we can relate with what was called Jubilee year in Israel. That was a time when people who were slaves were returned back without any, all debts were canceled and things like that. So we have a Jubilee Day where everybody's allowed to say whatever they've done wrong without fear of consequence. So the children know that, okay, you can come to me, you can be truthful. I know that you made a mistake. I know you didn't intend to do it. So how can we correct it? So the weekends are times that we would bond. Then we also have what we call, or what we do is like household chores. You do not leave it to the mom. Everybody gets involved. So it's a time for bonding. You get to know their strengths. This is what this one likes to do. This is what this one can do. And then you can use that to help them conquer because they're supposed to be a support for each other. So they know that you're there as a father. They know that you're there anytime, spare time, you are involved in their lives. Use your weekends very well. Use the devices very well. Make the video calls. Dot over them constantly so that they too can learn that you want to be there for them, or circumstances may not. Sometimes they ask you questions. They ask questions like, okay, you're leaving so early. I'm like, yes, I need to leave early because I need to get this done. Remember, you asked me to get you this, so I need to work so I can get that done. But it doesn't mean that I do not love you. Like Nathaniel said, let them know that you have challenges. Let them know that you have vulnerability. Let them know that you need to do this so that you can support them, so they appreciate what you're doing. These are the advices that I have.
Thank you very much. Beautiful one. So we should explore, make good use of the social media, the devices we have. Every little moment you have, spend it with them. Let it be a memorable one. Even if it's going to be 1 hour, if it's going to be 2 hours, just one day, make it a memorable one for them. And you have to be intentional. These are the times you want to rest, but when you remember their feelings and all, you need to make the moment. So create that moment with them. Thank you very much for that response. And I believe for the person that asked the question, that will help. You can also reach out if you really want us to talk about this with you. Our time is fast spent. I am going to be handing over to PKO to give us the last words while we get ready for next month, the family meeting. It's really an emotional one this morning. I don't know if any other person is feeling the way I'm feeling today. But next month, we're going deeper. We're going to be talking about the children. They'll be on holidays by then. And so we're going to talk more about how to handle them, the questions they're hiding from you and all. But before then, PKO, can we hear your grandfather advice?
All right, thank you, Ebu. The truth is that Ojomo and Nathaniel have really helped us, and they have really nailed it. And the point I want to quickly raise here is, let us be deliberate, let us be intentional. You know, many of us will learn so many things based on our own profession. We'll learn to be an engineer, we'll learn to be a doctor, we'll learn to be a parent, a medical person and all that. But we feel that when it comes to family, we don't need to learn it. And that is why we are feeling marriage is an institution. Marriage is an institution, only that institution is ordained by God. So if you look at marriage as an institution, then there's need for every one of us to learn and to be deliberate about learning. Learning more about parenting, learning more about family, learning more about fathers, being a father, being a mother, and all that. We need to. A lot of things that we lack in this present days is that we don't really have people that will guide us and help us. Presently now we have a lot of tribes, a lot of people like our tribe, Praiseful West tribe, and all that. We're trying to create that buzz where you have a support group. By the grace of God, I have that support group. We have a lot of thousands of people that gather together, we listen to life experiences and all that. We need to learn some new things. We're talking about intentional fathering, fathers. I was saying that, look, don't just leave things to chances. Yeah, there are some areas that we are weak. Despite the fact that I said fathers, yes, fathers, yes, fathers. But listen, sometimes the mothers can play a very, very significant role because they have it. I can give an example. I came from a polygamous family. My wife came from a monogamous family. There are some things that I lacked. My father was not around. My mother was not around. Our own father was around. Our own mother was around. So most times I have to leverage our own expertise, our own involvement to even train my family. It's not that I'm giving the responsibility to her, but I'm leveraging our own exposure to get things done. And that's one of the things we want us to do here. We have a lot of training opportunities around us, people that have learned so many things. Come and leverage. Praiseful Way has given us the platform where you also can leverage and learn so many things about what you can do to make your life better. Many of us are going through an autumn season. You are hot. Some of us find it difficult to forgive our father, find it difficult to forgive our brothers and all that. Come and go through this process and you will experience healing even in yourself. One of the things that I've discovered in this journey is that it helps you first to discover yourself. Ojomo mentioned it. There's this aspect of you discovering yourself, the aspect of communication, because you learn a lot of things. When you discover yourself, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and then you can leverage on people's expertise to develop your capacity. Don't work on assumption. It is dangerous to assume that things are okay. It is very, very dangerous to think that everything will work out. If you are not deliberate about it, nothing will work out. It's more like cultivating. So you need to work at cultivating your marriage, cultivating your family, cultivating your home. You're sharing experiences. In those days, now we have technology. In our own days, there was no technology. And I was also very busy and even very early. One of the principles I adapted was every morning, no matter the time, I make sure I wake up in the morning, wake the children up, either we pray together, we go to the bedroom, I bathe them. In fact, I bathed them till when they were 10 years of age, all of them. It was my wife that said, the lady, which is the last born, she's now a girl, I should not. But the guys, even as old as when he was 14, I still wanted to take and bathe them. Why? Because that is the bonding period. So you should look for something you can do that will create that bond. They need the father, not the father that is present physically, but the father that is present psychologically, because we have a lot of absentee fathers. And we are saying that you are the person that we're actually looking at. People want to model after you. They want to learn parenting. They want to learn fatherhood from you. So you have to be healed and then help your children to get the best out of you. And I know with time, with the knowledge you have had, I know there is a link that has been sent to the platform, to the chat room. Click on the link. If you want to learn more, register with us and let us help you to make your family better. Your wife is looking for you. Your husband is looking for your wife, your children, they are looking for you. Fathers, join us and then things will work out together for good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, PK. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate those of us that have been able to wait behind to this time. This is just very encouraging, helping me to know that we still have people that want to make things work. And we are on this journey together. Please check the chat box. I already dropped the links. If you want to take the Family System Engineering course, the link is there. If you want to take the new rules of parenting, we really need to learn the new rules of parenting. The link is also there. Please, you can click on the link in the chat box. And if you miss the link, there's a phone number there. You can reach out to us and we can take it up from there. Thank you so much, mothers. How many fathers do we have in the house today? Can we all release our cameras and let's see our faces? Thank you so much, PKO, for always being there. Thank you so much, Jube Ojomo. It's nice having you on our show. I really appreciate you. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you for the perspective you've brought in, the communication aspect. I was actually going to ask when you were talking about the communication. So communication can be done even to as low as what age? Like what age? 2 years old, or we wait till they are teenagers before we start communicating?
You can start communicating with your children from inside the mother's womb. Reading to them is part of communication. They get to hear your voice and they know your voice. It's part of it.
Good. Thank you very much. That's so profound. Yes, Shegun Sonowo, we are going to send the replay of the link to every email, to every contact that's registered for. I hope you registered. For as many people that register, we're going to send the replay to them because we believe that when you hear it over and over again, it sticks. So we're going to send the replay. Thank you so much. So I want to see our faces. Can we see our faces? Emmanuel, we want to snap picture. Emmanuel, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I want to see our faces. Daddy's in the house. Temi, hello. Good morning, Shonawa. Thank you for joining. Oh, I'm so happy. Victor Onofome. Israel Anu, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Oh, I'm so glad we have quite a number of men here because usually we have women come for this kind of a thing. And I'm so happy we have fathers that are intentional and they really want to add to the knowledge. Oluwamayowa, thank you so much. Thank you for joining in. Okay, Emmanuel, sorry, please, can we release our video so that we can take a snapshot? Okay, ladies, let's see you. You have always been there. Olusegun, thank you. Nice having you around. Ladies, let's see your faces too.